Okay, I'm back to the second part of my reading. I have 3 things I do every morning before I get to my regular reading. And this is coming from The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes. I can help you understand how to get these books at a very reasonable price, and you'd be surprised to be less than $10. But today I'm reading The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes, January the 6th, pages 028.4 to 029.2. That's the page, and the point 2 or point 4, that's the paragraphs. So the title is, There Are Not Two Minds, Only Two Names. Mind, the thing, spirit, causation, is beyond and yet not beyond our grasp. Beyond in that it is so big within, in that wherever we grasp at it, we are at it to the extent that we grasp it. But since it is infinite, meaning God, we can never encompass it. We can never encompass it. We shall never encompass God, and yet we shall always be in God and of God. Mind comes under 2 classifications. There are not 2 minds, but rather 2 names employed in describing states of consciousness, the objective or the conscious and the subjective or unconscious. You can get some information about that in a book called Mental Toughness, Guide to Mental Toughness by Daniel Tantingbaum. It'll explain that. But as I continue to read, it says, we think of the conscious state as our conscious use of mind. The subconscious or subjective state of mind, sometimes called the conscious state, is that part of the mind which is set in motion as a created thing by the conscious state. In the body of this textbook, under the heading of subjective mind, we say, in subjective mind of man, we find a law obeying his word, the servant of his spirit. Suggestion has proved that the subconscious mind acts upon our thoughts. Again, I'll say, the subconscious mind acts upon our thoughts. It is the mental law of our being and the creative factor within us. In other words, when you use your subjective mind, the right now, it allows you to do right now what you're thinking right now. It is the mental law of our being and the creative factor within our thoughts. It is unnecessary at this point to go on into all the details of the subjective mind and its mode of action. It is enough to say that within us is a mental law working out the will and purposes of our conscious thoughts. Again, a mental law working out the will and purposes of our conscious thoughts. This can be no other than our individual use of the greater subjective mind, which is the seat of all mental law and action, and is the servant of the eternal spirit throughout the ages. Again, The Science of Mind, Ernest T. Holmes. Next, I'll be reading day 6, a passage from The Greatest Salesman of All Time, written by Mr. Og Mandino.